Hello, my name is Judy. Welcome to the Liberated Multitasker. Today I wanted to share with you some of my favorite kitchen tools and gadgets. One of my favorite is this KitchenAid attachment, and I use it to shred cheese. I buy my cheese in blocks and then I will shred it myself and then freeze it in just Ziploc bags. It also comes, this attachment comes with two other sizes. This is the larger grater, there's a smaller grater, and then there's a slicer. And so I've enjoyed this one. That's the only thing I've used it for. I've not used it for slicing yet. The main job I use it for is for shredding cheese. And just as a reminder, shredded cheese freezes really good. Another one of my favorite tools is the dough whisk. So I like to make bread and muffins and anything with ooey gooey dough. This does really well. If you're not using your KitchenAid or your dough hook in that, if you're mixing by hand, this is really nice, and it's inexpensive. Another one of my favorite tools are just wooden spoons. I've got these at Walmart. These are smaller ones. You do need to hand wash them, but I really enjoy those. So cast iron. I really like my loaf pans. They just cook really well. I either use parchment paper or I season them with coconut oil or grease them with coconut oil, and it does really well. I don't have any trouble, I haven't yet had any trouble getting my breads out of this loaf pan. And it cooks evenly. It just does a really good job. And obviously you can't talk about cast iron without also talking about the skillet. I really like it. We don't have a lot of non-stick. We have some. I prefer the cast iron. And you do need to make sure you clean it, hand wash it and clean it after you're done using it. It's a really good cooking pan. This next one is the Valdea Chopping Wizard. And so we use it not just to chop onions, but to celery, carrots, it just does a really good job. So it has two different sizes, and I can't seem to pull it apart. There we go. This is the dice. It's the smaller squares, and then the chop is a bit larger. I've seen a lot of people use these, and it makes the chopping job happen a lot quicker. If you like things uniform in the same size, it does that as well. My little Ninja. So we really enjoy this. We've used it to cut up chicken finer if we want to finer chop chicken salad. I've used it to cut up my pears for preserving or for freezing, and my apples as well. Before I make an apple cinnamon bread, I will put them through here so they're finer before I mix them in the recipe. So we've really enjoyed this and use it a lot as well. This is one of my most favorite things. It is a soup cuber, and you've got 4 1-cup spaces to freeze things. So we freeze broth, we freeze food preps like chopped onions, and I'll freeze them in 1-cup sizes. So if it calls for onion and it's already chopped up, I will just pull out a square. I also use this for convenience foods. I will freeze leftovers in this in 1-cup serving sizes. I will pre-make casseroles or chilies or soups and freeze them in these, and then repackage them into just convenient, pull out of the freezer, put in your refrigerator, and when you get home that evening, heat it up on the stove or the microwave, and your meal is done. We're all about convenience. At the end of the long day, you're tired. If you're a one-person household or a two-person household, you might not always feel like cooking a meal, or you cook a large meal and you don't want to eat on it for the next 3 days, but with the price of food, neither do you want to waste it. So this is a great way to cook a couple of meals, a couple of casseroles, freeze them. You don't have to eat on them all week. Eat that meal, maybe lunch the next day, and then freeze the rest. And so in a couple of weeks or in a month, when you don't feel like cooking, you have something in the freezer. You've already cooked, you've already prepared. You have home cooked food at your fingertips. These next 3 things are large items. This is a 13-quart mixing bowl. We love it. This will hold 5 pounds of shredded cheese. Me and my husband made meatballs the other day, and we did a double batch so we could freeze some for later meals. But it was big enough to mix all the ingredients and for us to get our hands in there and roll out the meatballs. It's just a good size. Now, if you are a gardener, this can be a great pea shelling pot as well. But we really love it as a mixing bowl. Pampered Chef bar pans. I love them. I've had them for a long time. The older style had handles on the end. I still have that one. However, the ones without those handles, I can fit 2 of those in my oven. I like to use these for roasting vegetables. I like to use them, especially around the holiday season, making sausage balls, one of our favorite holiday foods. But it's really good. I've used them to make cookies. I find that I don't need parchment paper on these. I've used them to make apple tarts, any number of things. They're such a good surface. Now, usually I add about 5 minutes to the cook time when I use these, because it takes a minute for the stone to heat up. But it cooks really well. Now, last but not least is a full-size sheet pan. I just ordered a second one. Now, you probably saw me use this pan when I made the oatmeal cookies. Had I had 2, I could have baked them all at the same time, rotated them, and that way it would have saved me a little bit of time. I do have a convection bake setting on my oven. But these are great for large batches of cookies. You could even do for sausage balls, anything. You could get much more on a plate, and if you have 2 in a convection bake setting for your oven, then you really can knock out a lot at one time. Another favorite use I have for these are sheet pan meals. It's a 1 pan. You mess up 1 pan, 30 minutes, and your whole meal is done. Absolutely love that. So those are my favorite kitchen gadgets. Anything that you use that makes the job easier is worth having. These are things I use, and I use often, and I enjoy having them on hand. So I hope you found this interesting. Comment below and let me know what are some of your favorite kitchen gadgets.